Welcome, everybody, back to another episode of the Queen's Lead podcast. I'm your host, Amy Singleton, and today my guest is Anna Gibbs. Anna comes from us direct from New York, which makes my heart sing because I want to go there so badly. She is a jack of all trades. This lady's been around the block. She knows what she's doing in the entrepreneur world. She has a history as a general manager of a huge Keller Williams brokerage in upstate New York. She is a certified life coach, a business coach, a leadership coach with John Maxwell, which you guys know is very near and dear to our heart as one of our mentors of our mastermind group. And she has a podcast called The Monday Morning Mojo, which I was actually on. We recorded that yesterday, which is so much
Yep.
fun. So now we're turning the tables and Anna's on my show. Welcome, Anna.
Hi, Amy. Thank you so much for having me. It's good to see you again. Yes, we
It's good
did
to see you
record just
too.
yesterday.
We did. And it's a good thing because we could have kept going, I feel like, for
I
a while.
agree. Yes.
Yeah. So tell everybody a better, clearer understanding of your background.
Yeah, it's funny when you hear it, right? You're like, oh gosh, what else am I doing? Yeah, I think I just have a long history of being in business development, sales. That just evolved into leadership opportunities. And probably about 15 years ago, I decided that I was going to use all my experience and really help other people figure it out and basically
Yeah.
help other people through coaching. And at that time, I really was passionate about helping other entrepreneurs, other salespeople. That evolved into really looking at the people I coach as a whole person.
Mm,
So, and really, I think marrying my passion for personal development into then doing more work as a life coach, NLP work, leadership. Yeah, I do a lot, but I think there's a commonality to what I do. And it's really about helping people
yeah.
think differently, think bigger. And I love being in business. I call myself a serial entrepreneur. And so I get it. I get other people who are okay with living a big full life and not necessarily traveling in just one lane.
Yeah, definitely. Whenever you start down the path of entrepreneurship, it's hard to avoid shiny object syndrome and get involved with a lot of stuff. But whenever you see a real opportunity in front of you where you can really serve someone, it's so hard not to get your hands in all of that. And then as you develop yourself more, people ask me, and I'm sure you all the time, like, how do you do it all? And I'm like, it doesn't feel like that much. I do, and yes, I'm tired and I have to take personal days, I have to take my time for certain stuff, but when you do what you love and you're serving in all those different capacities, like a podcast, like a business, like a coach, like all these things, you're like, you feel fulfilled and it doesn't feel like a million things to do.
Yeah, for sure. And I think for me, look, there are a lot of opportunities that show up that I sometimes have to say no to because I
Ah,
believe that it has to line up with my values and it has
mhm.
to line up with the purpose I've gotten clear about. And
Yeah.
I think it's challenging when you know you could do a lot of different things.
Mm,
But for me, I just try to get really clear about where my strengths are. And if I can work in my strength zone, then I think I can make a bigger impact in the world.
yeah.
And something that's I mentioned values a second ago. Something that's really important to me is coming from a place of contribution.
Mhm.
So I want to know that I can make that impact, even though I might have to learn something or level up in some way. If it's far outside of my wheelhouse, then it's not going to jive for me. So
Yeah.
sometimes I'm okay saying no.
Mhm.
And yes, the other thing that I want to mention too that you just said is about finding ways to create some flow or balance out how much time and energy you might be putting into your business
Yeah.
or the things that you love. And we do have to take time to recharge the battery. But when you work in your strength zone, things tend to be easier and it
Yeah.
tends to take less energy. So that's why I think those of us who are living there can appear to do more because we're doing things that come more natural to us. And
Yeah,
so there's a little
absolutely.
bit less effort in that.
So 100% true. You and I have talked about a lot of books, but I read The Big Leap a while back and I was just like completely blown away by really living and being willing to be happier, being willing to have more in your life. So many of us are not equipped yet to be in that space, but it's been a total
And
game
what's
changer for me.
interesting too about that, Amy, like lately, I feel in the last few years, I don't know, maybe this is just where I'm coming from right now, but in the last couple of years, it feels the hustle, the grind became a bad word, wanting
Yes.
more was not attractive. And I struggle with that a little bit because I feel like we only have so much time here on this planet. And for me
Yeah.
personally, it's about maximizing my time. And I'm okay
Mhm.
with that. I don't want to have to apologize for maybe being involved in more than one business or having this approach to life that is big and out loud,
Ah.
because for me that brings meaning and significance. And listen, being in business or being an entrepreneur is really just a journey in personal development. So
Oh,
I
yeah.
just feel right, like I
Oh
just
my
feel like
gosh.
every time I
Yeah.
try to open a new business or consult on a new business or in coaching or speaking or through the podcast, right? Like I'm growing and learning in that process. So
Mhm.
that's the part of being in business or being an entrepreneur that I really love, is that it pushes my limits and my boundaries.
Yeah. Yeah. And a lot of people just don't understand that. They don't get it.
I wonder if some people might even be afraid of it. I mean,
Mhm.
that could be part of it too. And because it reveals a lot as you're a business owner, and it reveals a lot about who we are.
Yeah.
And it can be a little scary and a little
Mhm.
lonely all at the same time.
Yeah.
But it's really about figuring out how you can grow, because then your business will grow along with you too.
That's right. So take us way back. Take us to little girl Anna. What were you like? What were your dreams? And like how did you come to where you are now?
We'll have to link each other's show in the show notes, like each other's episodes, because you said something on my show about feeling like people thought you were too much. And that was me as well.
Yeah.
I was the little girl that had a lot of energy and was very inquisitive, very curious, and asked a lot of questions, and
Mhm.
was probably what a lot of people would say was a natural leader. I was like the girl that could rally the kids and get them to do whatever I wanted, speak. And so that's who I was. I grew up in a very, and it's still who I am. I grew up in a big Italian family in New York. Yeah. So that's a
Love
whole
it.
other podcast episode.
Yeah, I love
If
that.
you've ever watched My Big Fat Greek Wedding, that's my family in a lot of
Really, yeah, I love that.
yeah, so a lot of traditional values. And my parents were both born in Italy. I was the first generation to be,
Wow.
yeah, to be here in the US, which came with its own different set of wonderful and complicated issues, because
Yeah.
sometimes my parents didn't understand things like wanting to sleep over at your friend's house. I
Mm.
didn't always get to explore and have a lot of adventures. And because of that, I was always an avid reader. I was someone who daydreamed a lot. I had to find ways to entertain myself. I was the oldest of 3 kids.
Mhm.
And so I think I now look back and I see the blessing in that was I was able
Mm.
to really develop imagination. I think my intuition, my creative side really showed up through that.
Mm. Wow, what a great story. Oh my gosh. So what were you interested in as a young woman? What was your first job or your first because you probably didn't dive right into entrepreneurship, I imagine. Or maybe you
You
did.
know, when I was really little, I thought I was gonna be an actress.
Yeah,
I
me
daydreamed
too.
that. You too?
We are the same person. We decided yesterday we are sisters from
I think
somehow.
so.
We are separated at birth. Yes.
Yeah, 100%. And so I did. I daydreamed a lot about being on a stage and talking to people, which I think has manifested itself into a lot of the work I do today.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
and I had intentions of going into education, actually. I was going to be a teacher, which obviously has manifested itself too. And
Love
I'll
it.
say that when I was 18, I met someone that sort of diverted my path. And yeah, and my first husband, unfortunately, that was not a healthy relationship. That was an
Yeah.
abusive relationship.
Mm.
The best thing that I got from that were my 2 daughters and reclaiming myself eventually. But that was a
Mhm,
difficult time.
mm.
I met him at 18. Yes.
Let's pause too. It said reclaiming myself. Hello, queen. That's it. That's queen
Yeah.
leadership right there.
Thank
That's
you.
it. It's
Yeah, it
amazing.
was, but at the time it sucked. At the time it was
Yeah.
dark, it was hard. It was, like I said, a very abusive time in my life, or abusive relationship. And listen, I'll again, this is true for me. I certainly did not deserve to be treated the way I was treated. However, it wasn't until I got to a point at 27, I met him at 18, where I had to realize that if I was going to change this dynamic, I had to take responsibility for myself. And as
Mm,
hard as it was, and
mm.
actually traumatic the night I left, I was able to leave that relationship with 2 small kids, no job at the time, and I had to figure it out. And like I said, it wasn't easy. And this again is my story. It's something a lot of people don't understand because from the exterior, you might look at me and be surprised. How did that happen? But domestic violence, it doesn't discriminate. And
Yeah.
there's a lot involved in that dynamic. So when I did leave and started to reclaim myself in my life, and really that was the first time in a long time I had to figure out who I was, not just figure out what I needed to do, but then figure out who I was. And that's
Yes.
really where my personal development journey started.
Mhm.
And we're talking, this is the late 90s when this happens.
Yeah.
Like my first life coach was Oprah Winfrey.
Oh
You
my
know,
gosh.
right?
Yeah.
That's who I was able to look at every day, right? I watched her on TV, and she
Yeah.
had amazing speakers and coaches and writers and people who were going through their own transformations and traumas. And that was really the beginning of me opening my mind to different thoughts and feelings and
Wow.
beliefs. And then that exploration led to much more. And I was already in sales at that time. So
Mhm.
I also had access to thought leaders and writers and coaches. And I just became a sponge. I love to learn and I just became a sponge and little by little started figuring myself out. And I'm still doing that today. But that's
Yeah.
really why I was inspired to get into coaching and teaching and speaking as well, is because I don't want anyone to feel like whatever is going on in your life right now can't improve or change or get better. This
That's
is
right.
temporary. Whatever it is
Yeah.
temporary. And I don't know what it is that anyone out there is going through right now, but I send love to them and tell you it's temporary.
Mhm. That's right. I think you and I really share the same value of feeling a tremendous responsibility to stand up and raise our hands and say,
Yes.
I was in a domestic violence situation. I was in an alcoholism situation. I was an addict. I was suicidally depressed. And now I'm not. And that is for you too. Because we even said this yesterday like, how dare we not share that hope with other people? How
Yeah.
dare we hold that in for ourselves? If we really go back and remember how desperately alone, lonely, worthless, shameful, all of the things that we felt during those times. And my story is so different than yours, but the feelings are so similar during that time, the shame, the panic, the loneliness, you don't know what to do. And I feel a huge responsibility to tell others that a better life is possible for them no matter what it is that they're going through because suicide is never the answer. We can't
No,
fix dead. We can fix a lot of things and we can't fix gone.
for
Yeah.
sure. And listen, I know you can't really put yourself in someone else's shoes. Yeah, like you said, even though our stories are different, we can be empathetic to the feelings, right? And
Yes.
we can be empathetic to at the moment how it might feel like you can't see past the next minute even or the
Yeah.
next morning. Yet
Mhm.
I said it yesterday when we were talking that our story's not really for us, it's for others, right? It's for other people. So
Mhm.
in sharing our story, and I as I said to you yesterday, it took me a little time to get comfortable with it because
Yeah.
I feel like you walk around and you say, "Oh, I've done the work." And here I am helping other people do the work. And it wasn't until probably 5 years ago where I realized I still had a little more work to do
Yeah.
because I'm not
Yeah.
it's not about perfection, it's about progress.
Uh-uh.
And
That's
I
right.
realized that I was still holding on to some of the shame. I was afraid to be vulnerable enough to
Mhm.
say, this is what I went through. And
Yeah.
here's the reality to all these queens out there listening that it is about sometimes your crown might be a little crooked and it's okay, but it's just fix the crown and keep going.
Right.
And it's really about understanding that you don't have to replay the darkest moments of your story.
Mm.
What you need to do is allow the light to shine on how you keep moving, and that the
Mhm.
story is really about the survival and then the
That's right.
thriving, right? Because I
Yes.
used to get
Yes.
stuck in nobody wants to hear what I went through, nobody
Yeah.
cares, and maybe
Yeah.
that is true, but what I think people want to see and be inspired by is what happened next. Look, my life today is completely different than it was
Yeah.
even 10 years ago, but certainly 25 years ago when I left that abusive marriage.
Yeah.
Yeah, and today I have I'm involved in multiple businesses. I'm a successful businesswoman. I'm actually speaking to you from Arizona because I rent a house and work here during the winter, right? A life I never would have
Nice.
imagined, right? I go
Yeah.
on, I travel and do all these things, right? But nobody cares. Or some people will look at that and they get all enamored by the lifestyle or the car you drive. But the bottom
Mhm.
line is none of that should matter. You know what matters is what the person had to do to get from where they were to where they are right now.
That's
Because
right.
that's the story. It's the story of
Mhm.
resilience, it's the story of tenacity, belief, it's the story of grit and trying to figure it out. That's really what the message is when you share your story.
100%. I'm so glad you brought that up too, because I know when I first started this podcast almost a year and a half, almost 2 years ago, first started speaking, I had a lot of trouble with one, wanting to share the story. And then at times, and I've noticed this with a lot of other speakers and other people, they tend to overshare their
Yeah.
story. And that can really completely negate, like you said, it's negating like the reason for
'Cause you get
sharing the story
lost
because
in what's really the message.
yeah, and people get lost, and, like, my speaker coach, shout out to Benny Salas, he is amazing, and he's really helped me to develop that story and continues to do so, but he will even say whenever he shares his story, it's just tiny parts, so we don't have to necessarily go into the nitty-gritty details because then the audience gets they start feeling sorry for you, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe she went through
Mm.
that. Oh, what happened next? Oh, did she get arrested? What?" And then their brains go down a path versus just saying, "This is what happened, and now this." And like you said, that the end piece is what really matters the most.
Yeah, and what's next? What do you want to continue to do with this wonderful
Mhm.
life that you have?
Yeah.
And we all have the power to inspire, every single one of us. I think every human being, I think it's just woven into who we are as humans, right? We have the
Mhm.
ability to influence and inspire other people. Some of us take that further than others. And you talked a little bit about connection, right? When we spoke yesterday. And that's the
Mhm.
beginning of it. If we're willing to connect, then we're willing to share our stories and inspire. And all mixed up in that has to be a little bit of vulnerability too. And then on the other side, compassion, right? A willingness to listen and try to find what is the message in this person's story? What can I identify with? Because I think there's always elements that you can identify with.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. Yeah. We all have so much in common. I'm even I'm like the person who is like empathetic to the point like I'm watching the murderer shows going, "We must have had such a bad childhood."
What happened to
What
them one
happened to
time?
them?
I know.
Right. Yeah, yeah. What
Yes.
happened to them? Something awful had to happen. So, tell us about your podcast. Enough of the deep stuff. Like, I like the Monday her podcast is called Monday Morning Mojo, and I'm here for the mojo. I love it.
Yeah, thank you. I love it. And it's so much fun. And again, you don't have to have a podcast to be inspiring, but I feel like it's a wonderful platform for any of us who love to share our story or have a place to connect with people, teach people, invite other people in to have these great conversations. And it all started actually back during COVID in May of 2020. At that time, we were all working from home, and I run a big organization. And having a lot of conversations every day with people who were just really, I think, anxious, confused,
Yeah.
getting burnt out even at that time, doing a lot of
Mhm.
Zoom stuff and just trying to figure it out. And I
Yeah.
took a quick break. It was like May 20th. I don't know how I remember this, but it was May 20th. I took a quick break. I went outside on my deck to get some fresh air. And I said, there has to be something that I could do to help more people. And like
Mhm.
rapidly, I just got this idea. I'd seen some other people in my sphere doing similar things. And I said, you know what? I'm going to host a Zoom call, live Zoom call on a Monday morning, get everybody's mindset, maybe focus in a different direction. It'll be quick, but it'll be positive, and let's see what happens. So I put it out
Nice.
there and I created a Facebook group. And I think within about 6 days, I had, I don't know, 700 people in the group. And
Wow.
so we started doing
Yeah.
these Zoom calls, and I did it faithfully live every Monday morning at 7:30 for 3 years.
Wow.
And it was funny because there were times when I felt like attendance was really wavering or changing. I would do it on Zoom and then stream it live into the Facebook group. And just when you thought no one was really, it wasn't making an impact or no one was really there anymore, I would be out at an event or somebody would send me a text or a Facebook message saying they watched the replay and they thanked me for it. So it just continued, and every week came up with
Yeah.
fresh content. And then I just had that epiphany last year, and I said, number one, it's becoming time intensive, and
Yeah.
how can I even take it to another level? And that's when I started to speak to a couple people in my camp, and I got a group together to help me produce it into a podcast. And
Yeah.
that gives me more leverage, but it also means I can invite guests on. And I'm
Yeah.
sure if I had said to you, Amy, you want to do a Zoom call live at 7:30 Monday on an Eastern time, that'd be hard, right? So
Yeah.
we launched the podcast last August. It's continuing to grow. I'm faithful with it every week. We have a new episode, but the reason why you would want to listen to it is because it's all about getting your mindset right for that new week. To
Yeah.
switch the way we look at Monday. That's why I call it Monday Morning Mojo, and really look at how to get into a more productive mindset, thinking bigger, stretching the limits. And the topics range from things that might help you in your business to just getting out of your own way. And one of our most popular episodes was complaining is a garbage magnet. And I just talked about stop wasting your time with the complaining and real talk. It's just real talk.
I love it. Real talk. But man, that complaining, the mindset, that the story we tell in our minds, and you're a coach, you're like a mindset business life coach, right? How
Yeah.
often do you have to talk people out of their own minds?
Oh, all the time.
That's the main thing you have to do, probably.
Yeah, and I sometimes have to do it for myself too, right? I get asked that question a lot. Are you always this positive, or you've developed this really amazing way of thinking? And I'm like, yes and no. I'm not
Yeah.
perfect. So I do have negative thoughts. I do have limiting beliefs. I just don't stay there long. I've
Mm.
done the work to figure it out quicker and I move out of it. But I think we talk to ourselves all day long. And,
Hmm.
research has shown that 90% of the language is negative.
Yeah.
And I know that our world, our reality is shaped through our thoughts. So if we can shift the
Yes.
way we think, we can shift what we're doing, and that's what's going to bring different results. So
100%.
helping people really take a look and examine their mindset and their behaviors is really what I love to do.
Yeah.
It's a
So
paradigm
tell
shift.
me about, so talk to me about the one of your many businesses that you run so successfully, moving you forward, coaching.
Yes.
That's the only thing we all wanna do, right? Is just move forward, because standing still or going backward is just, it's so common. It's so hard to overcome when you just can't get that first step to move forward.
Yeah, yeah. So I launched a coaching company also last year called Moving You Forward, and it's a collaboration with my other business partner, two business partners actually. And it's really it moving you forward is about understanding that at any moment we can cut through some of those limitations that we put on ourselves, right? Either in our
Mhm.
thinking or in our environment. So I'm very passionate about what coaching can do to help people move forward. It's really also a great platform for me now to recruit and hire other coaches who want to
Mm.
work in a collaborative space and help their clients. And we really have coaches on our team that can help someone with any phase of their life. So whether it's their business, whether it's something about their personal goals, we even have someone who's working now to develop a program in health and wellness,
Mhm.
spirituality. We're really
Nice.
coaching to the whole person.
Okay.
And it's interesting because even though coaching has become very mainstream and it's a billion-dollar industry, there are still so many people who are not sure or don't
Yeah.
understand. And sometimes they think coaching is like therapy or
Yeah.
that it means that something is wrong with me. And it's really just about excelling your performance. And
Yeah.
we see it all the time in sports, right? We have these amazing athletes who sometimes have multiple coaches. So
Yeah.
it's just about taking you to another level, wherever the level is, because once we break through to one level,
Yeah.
eventually we're going to have another one pop up, right? So we're
That's
always
right.
breaking through our own ceilings of achievement. So coaching can really support that process, and I think sometimes it's an outside voice too, right? It's an objective
Mhm.
voice that can help you see things because oftentimes we have our own blind spots. So coaches can help you zero in on things that you might not be willing to face.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
might even just be not aware of.
Yeah. I think all the time, well, so much of the time, we're not aware of
Absolutely.
having someone else. And I have to say, we own a marketing agency, Hike Digital, and In our agency, we work I do not have a marketing degree. My partner does not have a marketing degree. A lot of our team has marketing degrees in graphic design and web,
Right.
development and all those kind of degrees that support the work that we do. But as far as an overall marketing strategist, we work with so many CMOs or marketing people within businesses that do have that degree, and it's worthless to them now. And the way that we have learned and continue to learn is by paying experts to teach us and communicating and being in contact and in the same sphere as those experts and coaches. And I can't tell you how far forward I've moved my personal development, my business, just skills it adds, all kinds of stuff by hiring someone who's already done what you're trying to do. When someone's
Yeah.
already been there and done it, like who better? Tell me the last time a university professor launched a marketing campaign that's teaching marketing.
Right.
Do they have
Exactly.
a Facebook page? I don't even know. Probably not. So, yeah,
Yeah.
you've done it.
And
You've done so
and
much
you know,
already.
the thing is, I think for me, I saw early on in my career, and yes, as I mentioned earlier in my personal journey, how the relationship or the partnership with key advisors, coaches, consultants accelerated the process. And I
Yes.
just believe that you can get where you want to be a little faster and maybe with a little less pain when you hire the right coach.
Oh, a little less pain.
Right.
Because a
And
great coach is gonna tell you all the ways they screwed it up and how to not to do that.
And I say a little less pain because I can't promise that the road is gonna be perfect either.
Absolutely.
Coaches are not magicians. We don't have a magic wand, so you still have to do the work. So there might be
That's
pain
right.
involved, but pain is okay because through the challenges and through all the obstacles and adversities, we figure out other things about ourselves as we've been talking about this whole time. That's where we develop our strengths, we develop our character, we add more tools to the toolbox, right? If everything was
Yeah,
always easy and we never had to be pushed to our limits, we wouldn't be growing and we wouldn't be learning in the process. So we have
that's
to be
right.
okay with a little bit of pain along the way.
Yeah.
Yes,
I
and
think a
I
lot of
love.
people end up with coaches that are like therapists that are like, "Oh, it's okay. Take it easy." If your coach is not challenging you, if you're not like pissed at them daily, they're probably not the right coach for you. I'm just going to say that. Like personal trainer, mindset coach doesn't matter. You need to be ticked off at them or you're not working.
If anyone is a coach or is thinking about developing a business around coaching and consulting, like you have to get to that neutral space, right? Where you are committed to the client and the
Mhm.
client's journey, not your ego, not trying to prove
Yeah.
what you know. And you can't take things personally. And I also get permission right away from when I start a relationship
Mhm.
with a client. I'm setting the boundaries, they're setting the boundaries, but the client's in the driver's seat, so I'm gonna go where they take me, and if you've
Yeah.
hired me to get you from point A to point B, and I see you're sitting behind a roadblock, we're gonna talk about that because otherwise, what are we doing? So, if in
That's right.
doing that, it causes a little bit of friction, it's okay because that means that there's some truth to what we're saying, and I don't have to be your friend every day. I can just balance a little care and candor in the coaching.
I love it. Care and candor. That's right.
Care and
Clear and
candor.
kind. Clear
Yes,
and kind.
yes.
That's right. Yeah. Well, I mean, ultimately, that's what has to happen for people to move forward. And that's literally the name of your business, moving you forward.
Yes, and what we're developing too now with moving you forward, look, there's a lot of great and I've had so many wonderful clients and experiences in the last, let's say, 10 years of me coaching. And yet you realize we were talking about impact a little while ago. Something else that we are doing with our coaching company is creating a platform for coaches or like myself to create programs and workshops so that we can impact more people
Yeah.
because if I'm only working with a select group of people one on one, then it limits my exposure to creating a bigger impact. So we are
Yeah.
working on lots of workshops and different programs for our platform to be able to reach more people, and that's really fun. That's exciting.
Yeah, and that's very unique in the coaching space as well because most coaches are solopreneurs and they only have a certain amount of time on their calendar and a certain amount of attention they can give each client. So you actually are developing a consortium of coaches that can be placed with the right people. And I love that you're growing it from that perspective. That obviously shows that you have a great business acumen as well. So great
Yeah,
coach here.
it's about leverage and it's about
That's
creating a
right.
business that's scalable and truly it is about the goal to create an impact with more people. But if I put the business hat back on, then you also can create bigger revenue streams, which means you also can invest back in the business to help more people.
That's
So
right.
it's just really an opportunity to look at what is the right balance of working with a client, creating programs, workshops, downloads, things that are just, I think when you can create content that people can think about, use in their lives, use in their businesses, it leads to
Yeah,
bigger conversations and bigger opportunities overall.
absolutely. It does. That's great. I love the impact that you're having. That's what this is all about. Queen leadership, having an impact, impacting your family, your community, the people you serve. It's fabulous. I love it. Tell me, what is one thing that you wish everyone knew about your world?
About my world?
Yeah.
Oh, that's an interesting question. That's a great question because I just yesterday I was thinking this to myself that I am working on so many different projects, a couple different businesses. I get involved with my community as much as I can. I sit on a few not-for-profit boards. I have 3 adult kids and 3 beautiful grandkids. My husband and I still like to be together and hang out, to travel. I was in Italy last fall. We're going to Africa in August on a
Oh,
safari.
wow.
So I'm someone who's very intentional and creates a lot of vision in her life, right? So I've been working off a bucket list since I was 40 and chip away at that. And I'm someone who likes to reverse engineer. So
Mhm.
if I, like, for instance, the African safari is really a trip of a lifetime and something that's been on my bucket list. And I'm just someone who doesn't think it's impossible. We just have to figure out how to do it. And I'm
Yeah.
fortunate that I can do it at 52, but if it took me until 72, that would have been okay too. And
Yeah.
so I think what I would want everyone to know is that you have incredible capacity to create vision and from that vision, a reality. And you can really
Oh,
have
so
whatever you
good.
want.
She's so good.
You can
She's so
have
good.
whatever you want. I love
She's so
that.
good. She's so good. Guys, I could just like keep this like crown on the whole
I
time.
I want my own crown, I think, after today.
Order one. I mean, I didn't
And
even
I'm
buy
gonna
this
send
locally.
you
I
a
hate to
picture of me
say.
wearing my crown.
Yes, you better. I love it. I love that.
I
That's
don't care.
queendom. That's building your queendom, living your life intentionally. I love that we've got, how long do we have on this planet? Such a blink. It's such a
We don't
blink.
know.
We have no idea. Could be
That's just it.
tomorrow.
We don't know. And look, anyone listening to this can say they want to make an impact. And you all have the potential to do so. And it may not look like the way Amy makes an impact. It may
Yeah.
not look like the way Anna makes an impact, nor
Yeah.
should it. It is
That's
about
right.
who you want to be in this world and whether you are changing one life or you're on a stage talking to a million people. And even in that group of people, you're not impacting everyone the same, right? So I think
Yeah.
sometimes people waste a lot of their energy and their time on the wrong things. And
Mhm.
I'm someone who is passionate about experiences and wanting to connect with people. And I got clear about my gifts. I know what I have to offer. You're never going to see me lead a class or a workshop on accounting or selling.
Me
Not that I
neither.
think those aren't great things. It's not what I know, right?
That's
I'm going
right.
to stick to what I know. And so if I have a skill and I have a gift, I want to use it and I want to help other people do it too. And that's it. So for me,
Mhm.
living a full life is a lot because it still feels like yesterday when it was just the opposite and life was not exciting. And
Yeah.
I'm grateful for every day. I thank God every day for what he's done to move me forward. And there it is, moving forward. It's always part of my life,
That's
moving
right.
forward. And so, can I get a little deeper spiritual for a second?
Please do. Oh, please do. I shared with you yesterday that I've just recently reconnected with God and become baptized again, and I am here for all the
That's
spirituality.
beautiful. God bless. It's awesome. I was raised Catholic and I really also found my relationship with God changing when I went through that divorce in my late 20s.
Yeah.
And I just believe that he really has guided me and carried me through where I am. And I feel I owe it to him, right? If he has, and I believe he has given us all this gift. So everything I do is about bringing glory to that. Because if God's
Mhm.
given me a gift and I don't use it, like you say, shame on you. And I get it because I struggled with it too. This imposter syndrome shows up for a lot of people. I run a large real estate brokerage. I'm the general manager. We have over 500 agents, and I've never
Wow.
sold real estate in my life. I don't even have a license.
Wow.
So imposter syndrome can show up, right? I could have
Mhm.
easily said, "How could I do this?" But that's not what I'm there to do. I'm not there to sell houses. I'm there to grow businesses and I'm there to grow
Yeah.
opportunity for the business, right? So I think that you have to really connect with the gifts God's given you and feel excited to use them. And that brings
Mhm.
glory back to Him, right? So that's the ultimate way to live your life in a big way, your life by design.
Aw. Did we just become best friends?
Yes.
Oh my god, we did. Oh my god. I love it so
No
much.
one's listening. We're loving this right now, but I
Yeah,
know there's
we're
so
loving
many
it. I
people
don't know if
listening.
anybody's listening,
So
but Hannah and I are in the zone together
that's
right
right. But
now.
I know so many people are listening and really being blessed by this conversation somehow.
Yeah. I was really afraid to bring my faith into business a little bit
Mhm. I can
because
understand that.
I've struggled with it back and forth. There was a time that I was labeling myself as like a universalist because I just didn't know what I believed. I couldn't reconcile my Bible Belt upbringing and the Baptist church on every corner with who I thought God was. And I was trying to define him and name him and point to him
Mm.
and so many things in my business. And I have to say that like you said, business ownership is such a spiritual a journey, a self development, spiritual journey.
You're
And
pouring your whole self into it, your heart
your
and soul.
whole life, yeah, everything about you, and God has planted so many seeds from the very beginning of this business. I told my husband the other day, this whole thing could crash and burn and it wouldn't matter because it was the catalyst for my renewed relationship with God, and
Oh, yeah.
it's just so beautiful, and I was really afraid to share that because I've come out as like a I'm a pretty in your face kind of person. I'm like a lot like you. I'm like loud and proud and out there and all of those things, and I'm not crude and rude, but I got a nose ring and I got a bunch of tattoos and I'm like a wild rocker chick girl.
Love
I wear
it.
this red lipstick and I was like, what are they going to say? Am I going to lose an audience? Are they going to be upset? I'm
And you know what?
expecting this. And
Whatever
it
they
was going to
say,
be okay. What?
and whatever they say, what Wayne Dyer was famous for saying this, right? Whatever people think about you is none of your business because it's
That's
really
right.
about them. It's not really
Mhm.
about you. It's something
That's
in
right.
them. Like you might be holding a mirror up for them, and there's
Mhm.
something there that they can't reconcile with about themselves, right? And that's still some of the work I'm doing today, too. But I think that whatever you call it, if you wanna call it God, if you wanna call it the universe, I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
I know what it
Right?
means for me, but here's
Mhm.
the thing, I'll ask this question, can you believe in something bigger than yourself? Can you
Yeah.
believe that there is an energy, a spiritual energy, a vibration in this planet that is bigger than any of us? Because when
Mhm.
you can agree to that's when life will change for you.
Yeah.
Because
Absolutely.
that energy, whether you wanna say it's there or not, whether you believe it's there or not, is still there,
It's
and it's
there.
still vibrating, and we believe that it's God, whatever you wanna believe. When you tap into something like that's already in flow, you open yourself up to more possibility, and
Yeah.
Gabby Bernstein says that the universe has your back. I believe that 100%. The universe has your back, but you have to
Absolutely.
trust it. So it's fear or faith, but you can't have
That's right.
both.
That's right. That is so true. Fear or faith. I've gone a long way. I always say I do it scared. I do it scared. I do it scared. But
Yes.
now I'm just doing it through faith. The fear doesn't even matter anymore. It's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah.
What a beautiful life we get to live. I can't believe this time has totally flown by. Long episode. Sorry, guys. Anna and I just like to chat.
It was
Okay.
great.
Tell our guests where they can find you and connect.
Yeah, thank you. Several places. You can find me on social. I show up a lot as either Anna Gibbs or Coach Anna Gibbs. You heard about the coaching company, Moving You Forward Coaching. You can find us on our website. I also have another site called Coach Anna Gibbs that links back to a lot of things, including my blog. And of course,
Awesome.
Monday Morning Mojo, the weekly podcast. You can listen to that anywhere you do listen to podcasts, including YouTube. And I would love for us to share some of our listeners with each other. I think that
Yeah.
this has been such a fantastic time with you.
It has. It's been so great. Thank you so much. We'll have all of her links down in the show notes, guys. Go and take a look. Follow Anna. Go listen to Monday Morning Mojo and get your mind right for the week. Move yourself forward one
Mm.
step at a time. That's the only way we all do it. Thank you so much, Anna, for being my
Thank you,
guest.
my
And
sister friend. This was so
thank you for
great.
being a queen that leads.
Thank you.